This meeting is being live streamed. There you go. So got
go.
it. Wouldn't be without it. Lisa, or Lisa Marie, to give you your full title. How the devil are you?
I'm excited. I'm really excited. Like, because I've been getting these nudges to speak to you, and I just have no clue where we're going to go. But I'm looking forward.
Well, my view is I use a word called extemporaneousness, and that just means living without a script, you know.
Yes.
That's what I've learned over the years, and I'll explain that in a minute. Just forgive me 1 sec while I just put this up onto my Facebook page and look at the comments. So there we go. Wanted. Do you like me wanted poster?
What's that all about?
I just thought, well, what happens is if you share the same thing, apparently more than a few times, it's against Facebook's community. Just bear with me.
I see. Yeah, I love the 4 candles reference.
Oh yeah, I mean, as you say, you probably get that all the time.
I do. I know, but it never grows old. Never.
No, it doesn't. And the O's, O's, the 2 Ronnies. I mean, our American cousins and people from across the planet probably haven't got any idea what that means, but
they need to get on YouTube.
They do. Yeah. Good idea. The 2 Ronnies, fork handles, fork handles. So, hello, my love. I was going to say, I don't know how it happens, but I don't work on sort of like what I see and anything. I just work on energies, really.
Same.
And that's how I sort of live my life now. I just like, my heart sort of guides me, and I just pick up sort of vibrations or whatever that is, whether I can work with the person, whether I gel with them, resonate with them, or other words, and I do with you straight away because you're a bit cheeky, really, aren't you? You're a northern lass.
Aye.
You've got like that sort of witty sense of humour.
Northern monkey, as we say. Yeah. And it's really important to me because you mentioned, I think it was when in your chat with the wonderful Elsa Dillon about the Heyoka that you carry. And I definitely resonate with that. And I was like, there he is. Yeah. It's a very important role, the Fool, isn't it? To remind people how to play and not take it all too seriously.
Well, especially now. I mean, I look at the world, and I sort of am apart from the world, but a part in it, and all that business, wear the world like a loose garment, and I try and do that, but sometimes I forget. When I get tired or when I get hungry, you get sucked right back into it all,
angry,
but all that stuff, hungry, angry, lonely and tired. When those instincts kick in, I'm in fight and flight then. So I'm back in my egocentricity, and all the stuff just comes piling in. But fortunately, I've learned over the years what that feels like and when it's trying to come in. So I can sort of almost like stop, take a step back and breathe it all the way. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I say to people, it's almost like a windscreen wiper or like a cow's tail, when a fly lands on it, just brush it off and carry on, So that's where I'm up to. But what I was interested in, the stuff that you posted, there's things that you've mentioned, particularly about the kids, and I put an excerpt, if that's the right word, from The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, and I love it because every time I read it, I just get that thing is that we are stardust, and I was sort of brought up in a hippie. I've got me hippie beads on and stuff like that, I'm a sort of an aging hippie. I'm 68, but going on 16, 17, 18, And I love it, and I remember sort of waking up with a terrible pain in my ear. And I put my hand on my ear, and there was like a crucifix hanging out of my ear. So that was me sort of initiation into hippiedom, And my mother, my mother went absolutely bananas with me. What have you been doing? This drink doesn't agree with you. Well, she knew the truth at that time,
Yeah.
So the kids, it means everything to me, and I think in a way, I know quite a lot really about influences, but not only influences in early childhood, but even in the development of the child as well, because I look into an area called epigenetics, and that's basically about how environmental conditions influence the growth and the evolution of the individual. You know, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but you know, and what I found out was that the mum's emotions actually develop the biochemical environment in the what they call the liquor amnii, which is the amniotic fluid. And the amniotic fluid and its biochemical constituents will actually impact upon the stem cells of the child, you know.
Yeah.
And therefore, you know, emotional sensitivity as a mum, you know, can actually impact on the development of the child. Now, whether that's already pre-programmed from the stars or not, I don't know, because there's a part of me that honestly believes that we do pick our purpose on the planet. You know, we pick our parents, we pick up a match as close to the soul's curriculum as possible, and then it moves from there. Am I talking nonsense, or does that make some sort of sense?
Oh, it really does. It really does. Because I mean, when I said to you, have you been speaking to my mum? Because she's always said to me, because I'm one of 3 girls, I'm the firstborn. And she always said, Lisa, even though I know I've given birth to 3 daughters, I've only ever felt like I have 2, because you've never felt like you belong to me. And usually when I tell people this, they go, oh, that's mean, you know, but she doesn't mean it like that. She's like, from the moment you arrived, you've never needed me. You've never needed me. Even when you were a baby, I used to have to just wake you up so I can have a cuddle. You know, I just came in like, you know, it's almost like, thanks for bringing me through. Right, we'll get to work now. And so, and I don't have children yet, so I'll be 44 next week. Although I am showing maybe there might be one coming in, but we'll see. But I've not had children, and a few years ago, the guidance came that I'm going to be part of opening these new earth schools, these schools for children that are going to be very much child-led learning. You know, it's not about telling the children what to learn. It's about going, show us your gifts, and then we'll nurture them. We'll help you to nurture them further. And the children will basically show each other what they can do, you know, and we've already begun with that, which maybe we can go into more in a bit. But yeah, and I understand everything you're saying.
Well, see, I get this thing going up my spine, and that's a sort of an indication of carry on, you're on the right path, you know what I mean? And that's what I work with now. I don't really, you know, people say to me, you've got all these qualifications and you're dead clever, and you know, what about this? What should I do? I haven't honestly got a clue, you know. I just sort of, I feel like I'm just making it up from one moment to the next, really. But it feels correct, you know. So I sort of live, if I can, an open-hearted life. And I just feel that my intuition inspires me in certain areas, you know. So I don't really have to prepare for anything. As they say, just come in, put your bum on the seat, open your gob and see what comes out, you know.
What comes out. Yeah.
And with regards to the kids and stuff, you know, I also sort of connected with people across the world who are also thinking of doing exactly what you're doing as well. And when you say guidance, what do you mean, Lisa? What do we mean by guidance? Because I have people, I work in the medical field, as you know. And the people I work with go, whoa, what is it? What are you going on about now, you know? But I'm trying to say to them that intuition, right, is completely different from intellect. It's completely different from knowledge, because knowledge to me is based upon memory, and intuition works beyond memory. It works from somewhere different. So they say, what do you mean by that? I say, I can't explain it. It's a feeling. It's just a feeling, you know. So when you say guidance, who's guiding you?
It's the little fairies on my shoulder.
I don't have them. I have like a big black thing, you know. Like something like Batman with claws. That's the thing. Wow. No, honestly, I have like some.
And he's dead cuddly.
Oh, absolutely. In the imagination, right? It's like a big sort of thing around me, like with big black wings and red tipped claws. And when it first appeared in my imagination, or my third eye, or whatever the hell that is, you know, I was terrified, you know. But I got the impression, son, I'm here to protect you. Just go forward. You're being looked after. You know, we're not going to let you down. And I'm thinking, oh, Christ, I'm off to the psychiatric department again, you know. But I trust it now. I trust the feeling of it when it comes in, and when I feel sort of de-energized or in a bit of trouble, I get this right, and I think, oh, that's okay, you know. So that's the sort of guidance I get from from these different feelings, really.
Yeah, and it is intuition. This is something that I do talk about with children, encouraging them to, like, you trust yourself. You must trust yourself because you do know. And of course, we know the children that are coming in now, they are the revolution, right? They are refusing to go to school, like point blank refusing. And the parent, you know, many of the parents that I come into contact with, they're literally at their wits' ends. They're like, you know, they tend to come to me as a last resort. They're like, nothing I do or try is working. They've had this, and this diagnosis, which pisses me off, quite frankly. Not the parents, but that we're diagnosing these children, because you can't give them a diagnosis. You can't put them in a box. You know, they are vast, what they're bringing here. But it's interesting because you said you you come from a sciencey background, and all these people are asking you what it means. I'm a school dropout, so I don't have an education. So when I got this message, you know, you're going to be part of these schools, and I was like, how am I meant to do that? I didn't even go to school hardly. Yeah. And then, you know, the voice said, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You haven't been programmed.
Well, and that's a big thing in me, because I've done a lot of psychology over time. In fact, I teach evolutionary psychology with the University of Liverpool, you know, which is a well-established red brick university and very traditional. And evolutionary psychology is almost like prodding them to say, look, there's other things outside of your box. But as you know, to try and break down that traditional, you know, sort of stronghold is difficult. So I try and do it sort of under the radar, like Oscar Schindler, you know what I mean? And I have to introduce it in a way that doesn't cause too many antibody reactions. It rattles cages, or it rocks the boat, but nobody's falling out, you know. So somebody's called me a positive disruptor, you know, and that goes along again with the Heyoka and the Joker side of me, you know. But when you say get pissed off with it, I do. I mean, you know, I'm supposed to be all sorts of peace and love and all that sort of thing, but I have this underlying frustration about how can I get this message across in a much more efficient way, you know, and that's all I'm trying to do, really.
You are amazing doing that, because I get really frustrated and I can get a bit gobby, you know, when I'm in those places and these institutions, or with any level of authority that tries to tell me how it is and how it should be. I've never been able to, you know, as a child, if I was told to do something, I go, explain to me why, and then I'll decide if I'm going to do it or not. Of course, that doesn't bode well in schools, does it? In this, you know, the way it was in the old world.
Well, funny you should say that. I was exactly the opposite, right? You know, I was brought up to respect authority, respect age, you know. At the age of 11, I was sort of sent away to start my priesthood training. That's how they used to do it there, you know. And it was going to be 13 years, really, of indoctrination into Roman Catholicism. And I couldn't handle it. I missed my mother every night. There was all sorts of things going on in the middle of the night. There were things coming in the room at me and stuff like that, you know. And I think I lasted about 18 months. And from there, you know, my dad come and got me and said he can't handle this anymore. So I was 200 miles away from my mum and dad and my family. And I just couldn't sleep. I had pains in my stomach. I was always in the sort of hospital in this seminary and stuff like that, you know. Supremely sensitive, you know, and my mum always said, you know, you're far too sensitive, you know, and you've got an overactive imagination, you know, and that's what I was. And I was afraid of the devil at 7 years of age. I used to go to sleep at night time and I would have the same recurring dream that I'd be falling down the stairs and the devil was at the bottom with the trident, you know, waiting to make toast out of me, you know, and I used to scream all the time, you know. So I was quite a very timid child, and believe it or not, wouldn't say boo to a goose unless I was given permission, you know, and stuff like that. But then when I found alcohol, right, that's when it all came out, because I can see now, highly programmed, highly suppressed, and my emotional self was so deep down in me. But when the alcohol came out, it was like freedom.
Yes.
You know, and off I went. And that's the basis, I feel, of addictive behaviors, is people don't drink generally because they like the taste of it.
No,
you know, I'm talking about alcoholics, you know, it's because of the effect that it has on them, you know. And I honestly believe
you don't give a shit, do you, when you've had a drink? You feel free.
Well,
to
absolutely. I
express
couldn't give a
yourself.
shit. I was free. I
Yeah,
was like expressing myself. I loved it. I used to love dancing. I was
yeah.
the bump champion of Birkenhead, right? And me and my mate Gary, we used to practice the bump all week and go down. We go to the
Oh, I
clubs,
love it.
right? And you could win bottles of champagne if you were the best and stuff like this. So it was like free drink, dancing, loved
Yeah.
every minute of it,
Oh,
And
I bet.
I realize now, and this is only for me, I
Yeah.
realize that there's natural ways now to
Mm.
express this through breathing, through movements, and through opening your heart, right? And just, allowing the courage to come up, right? And express who you essentially are, and that's what I try and show people now, that the way we breathe is intricately connected to the way that the heart works.
Yeah.
The heart sends a signal out, and that signal will draw to it on a daily basis the scenery and the players and everything that the soul needs to evolve. Now, I didn't understand any of this, but as you give out, so shall you receive. So it's almost like some sort of Shakespearean play where every morning when you wake up, the stage is set for you to take certain actions in that day to either for it to be a tragedy or some sort of a joyful thing,
Or a comedy.
Yeah. And so I honestly believe that that's the secret
Yeah.
of that's the secret, the secret of attraction.
Yeah.
That what you give out, as you sow, so shall you reap. So if that's really true and you know that, here's the thing: you can't think yourself into another scene. It comes from your emotional self. It comes from a place below the level of your consciousness. And I think that's where people get mixed up. So if you practice breathing techniques and mindfulness and stuff, you can actually start to sink in and start to scoop new scenes from your unconscious. So you become conscious of your unconscious. Go on, I'll give you a go while I take my breath. I don't half go on, when I get going.
No, I love it. I love it. I love listening to you because I'm just like, yep. Agree. And it's for me, I found alcohol at 14, and it was that exact thing. It's like, oh my God, I'm free. I don't care. I can say what I want, do what I want. I mean, I didn't come from a religious family, but there was heavy drinking on my dad's side and domestic violence and all of that stuff from his stuff that he came in to work out. But it was for me, which I now know, having literally rooted after 4 years on the road, sleeping in my van and sleeping in the forest, it was, I'm basically like a fairy. and it's I think it was Archangel Michael came to me about a couple of months ago, and he said it's natural children in an unnatural world. And when you do that, when you place these natural children in an unnatural world, and then you go, here, try this, that was what it was for me. And it was like, and I loved getting drunk in nature because then I really, I'd feel everything and really tune in. And that really was what it was for me. And so that's why I'm really passionate. I literally have children over to my home, which we're very blessed. I've manifested the most amazing wooden lodge literally up in the trees in Dorset. We've got a little woodland area. We've got a natural spring running underneath. It came with a cat, a really magical cat. And, I've got crystals everywhere. So children come over and I just open up to them. And my goal is I'm putting in a proposal to the local council at the moment. I was trying to write it today. It's all very formal, which I'm terrible at. But to open up a shop and workshop and rose temple space in the trees here in Dorset, and then the children can come and just mix with their own kind, because I run magic potion making workshops quite frequently, and they get it. They really get it, and the things they come out with. I had one little lad. He was 7. He was making a healing potion with the emeralds. I'm like, how do you know this? Of course, they just know it. They come in with it. And he was like, can I come every day?
I absolutely love it, and part of my job is to help people to see the programs within them, and to show them how to let them go, really, and it's really, I'm like you, I see that we live in a sort of inverted reality, a sort of a back to front and upside down, and I think that's sort of, it's becoming more clear now that
Yeah.
as this, what I call the great shift in consciousness
Yeah.
is piling in now, you know, energetically, you know, that anything that's not working or not aligned with this sort of natural thing is being brought to the surface to be
Yes.
looked at
Yeah.
and to be acted upon, you know, and it's difficult because it will cause, and it is doing, a lot of emotional disturbance as people try and hold on to
Yeah.
old habits, you know, and that, you know, I get a lot of people who get onto me and who are thinking of like ending it all, and they just can't handle it because it's just too much, you know. And I have to explain to them that I went through that process,
Yeah.
and I realized that what I was trying to keep hold of didn't work for me anyway. You know, I remember the bloke that guided me. I went through the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, you know, which is basically, it's not a program, it's a deprogram, you know.
Yeah.
And when you give everything away that's not you, you're
Yeah.
just left with this essential you know, which doesn't have to pretend, it doesn't have to make anything up. Because I was a terrible pretender, you know, the great pretender. I would be talking to you, say something, watch your face change, then I'd change my story in order to try and win
Yes.
you back round again.
How
you
many
know.
of us do that or have done that for most of
Yeah.
our lives or adult lives? Yeah, we learn very young to do that, don't we? Because we're
Oh, we
literally,
do.
you know, we all grow up surrounded by traumatized. I mean, how I would see it is the world is run by wounded children.
I couldn't agree more, and that's how I see it, you know. And people say stop being patronizing, but I see that. I feel like a sort of a patron type figure, you know, patron Saint Joseph. But it's almost when I look out of the eyes, I just see kids playing.
Yeah.
Some are playing war games over there. Some are playing painting pictures. Some are climbing trees. Some are doing football. Some, you know, I see all these different aspects going on. I had a vision once. It was clear, and it was in the meditation where I was standing on the moon, right, looking down at the earth, right, and I could see all these kids playing in various ways, all the people on the earth, and then there was a big gong, and this voice said, "Come in, kids, your tea's on the table." You know what I mean? So it was almost like playtime's over. Come in, have your tea, and you can go back and play later, you know. But, you know, some of the stuff, the games that are being played now, they're not very funny, you know, and I have different feelings about all that, really, that I do believe that above all, do no harm, you know. And I think that's probably
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah. Do no harm, but
children.
take no shit. I couldn't agree more. You know, and I'm one for cutting through stuff now. If something doesn't energetically feel right with me, I don't even try and work it out. It's like, sorry, you know.
Put it off.
Yeah.
Put it off. And that's a practice. Also, that is a practice. You know, just the same as meditation, yoga, whatever it is that your choice of practice is to be, you know, a better human or whatever. It's also this, you know, the boundaries and, you know, the do no harm but take no shit. You know, the moment things come in and if I get a no in my body, I'm like, no, it's a no. And like you say, I don't even try and question it. Don't try and unpack it anymore. Just move on. And it does get easier and easier and easier.
I agree. And I don't know whether you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
No.
Okay, well, it's a great psychological thing where it's the stages of growth of all human beings, really. And he initially started with 5 stages, but just 10 years before he died, he increased it to 7 stages. And the 7 stages are basically how your glands or your hormones come online. It's very interesting. And when I was actually doing this from a biomedical point of view, I then became aware of the chakra system in the Orient, you know, and stuff like that. And it's, you know, like things come to us in the right time.
Yeah.
I then learned about, and also traditional Chinese medicine as well, about these energetic, invisible counterparts, you know.
Yeah.
And it's almost like there are these vortices of energy, 7 major ones that align with the spine, you know, but they represent, first of all, the first one that comes in, the root chakra, is aligned with the adrenal glands, and that makes perfect sense because it's all about physical health. It's about groundedness. So if you've got strength there and groundedness, you can put your feet on the ground, you can take the right steps, you know, you can all that, you feel solid in yourself. But if you don't get that right and you're timid from the start, then everything else falls apart from there, because as this evolutionary impulse takes us further, the next thing that comes online are the gonads or the sex hormones, you know. And so there's another hormone system. Then we go up into the pancreas then, you know, and that's associated with the hormone called oxytocin, but it's also associated with how you are in society. And a lot of people that have social anxiety disorder and aren't comfortable in crowds or don't know what to say, it's not that one that's the problem. It's the root and the sacral chakras that need working on, you see. So the first two are very important. And that's what I was trying to say about the kids. If we can understand this right from the start, when the child is born, right, and we can start to get them to express themselves in a physical way, and we can do physical stuff with them, you know, because there's too much emphasis now, in my opinion, of intellectualizing stuff and, you know, turning people into audio visual sort of automatons. I'm on one here and I can feel it coming, but I think let the children play just comes to mind all the time, because they'll grow themselves. All we need to do is keep them relatively safe up to a point, feed them, water them, let them go out to play, and let them find their own feet. Over to you, old chap.
That's exactly it. And that's really how I've lived, you know. And and one of my other, so I live in accordance with a few sayings, you know, fortune favors the brave. And the other one is, you don't make mistakes, mistakes make you. And I love that one. And I often say, you know, I'll share that with children, or, you know, all the big children that I encounter, because I've, you know, gone out there and tried so many different things. I've lived all around the world. I've traveled all around the world. I've had many different businesses, and I didn't really go to school. I mean, I attended my school so infrequently that my end of school report, one of my teachers wrote, his absences were a concern. Right, that gives you an idea of just how infrequently. But I was off climbing trees. That was it. I didn't want to be in a classroom. You know, they even tried to label me. They thought I was autistic or something. I remember my mum asking me, and she's like, Lisa, I've had your teacher on the phone. I was about seven or eight. I've had your teacher on the phone. She's, you know, she's saying she's a bit worried about you. Is everything okay? She said, you don't seem that very there. And I was like, I'm fine, Mum. I'm just watching the squirrels. That was it. I just wanted to be out there with them. And most children do. They want to be out and moving. You've got to move your body. You can't make a child. How are we making children sit still for many hours of every day, 5 days a week? I mean, that's insanity to me.
Well, I think that's changing now. I think homeschooling, Montessori, Rudolf Steiner, all those sorts of things, you know, but understanding what is a human being. Physical, mental, emotional, but spirituality. And when I say spirituality, to me, spirituality is the energy side of things. It's about vitality. It's what you express from your core. It is the life force. It's chi, prana, ki, call it what you like, you know, esprit de corps, all these different sort of things. It's the umphiness. I call it the umphiness. You know? And that's what happened is when I took a drink, it disinhibited me. And years and years and years, and in fact, eons and eons of suppression and repression, right, just opened up. And that's what hooked me into the alcohol, you know. And I needed the alcohol for the heart to open, but it came out in such a powerful way. Not only did I feel free, but it was so destructive as well, because it wasn't regulated in any way, you know. And I didn't know how to, you know, I didn't know what to do. And I needed a certain amount of drink, right, in order to open it up so I could keep going again. So I needed drink to more or less live for a while anyway, a normal life. And then what happened is I needed more and more and more of it, right, to try and get that feeling again. And one day I drank more and more and more and more, and the feeling never came back. And that's when the shit hit the fan, really, you know. And then I started taking all sorts of other substances as well to try and get some sort of relief, and I couldn't. And it was terrible, you know. And I tried to do myself in on 3 occasions really powerfully. On one occasion, I tried to throw myself off a bridge, and that should have seen me off. But as I was just about to launch, some old woman appeared from somewhere, grabbed me, pulled me back, hit my head on the floor, got knocked out, and basically came round in the psychiatric department again, you know. So that was one. It was horrendous. And this all happened in 1987, Lisa. And apparently 1987 was the time of something called the harmonic convergence. And I didn't
heard you mention that. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
I didn't know what it meant, but people have said to me that was the time of the harmonic convergence. And what was happening to me is all this information was flying into me head, and I just didn't know how to process it, you know. So
Oh
I'd be
God,
trying to.
when that happens, yeah, I mean, you feel like you're going absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you feel like you're losing your mind, but the truth is you are, and that's a good thing. So now when people come to me and like, I'm losing my mind, I'm like, congratulations.
I'm saying, I say that's good, and people say I'm
Yeah.
thinking of doing myself in. I say to them, you know, how are you thinking of doing it? And they go, what you, because they normally want, oh, don't do that, you know. And I'm
Yeah.
not one of them people.
No,
I laugh.
no.
How are you thinking of doing it? Well, I was thinking, oh, I've tried that myself. That's not very successful, right?
Yeah.
Can we think of any other ways? You know, they go, and they think, hang on a second.
That's not the reaction I expect.
No.
That's it. And it's because it's not that we want to die, because I got close as well in 2017. And no, 2017 or 18. And it's not that you want to die, it's you want that reality to die.
Yeah.
And it's almost like when you do go to that point, you do go to the point of absolute surrender.
Yeah.
And then you start to hear the little whisperings of your soul again. And, you know, and when you can keep following, it starts off as a tiniest little flicker of a flame, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But you've just got to be like, oh, what's that? What's that? And just follow that incessantly above everything and everyone else. And you keep following it, it keeps growing and growing and growing. And then before you know it, you're surrounded by others that also have that same level of flame within. And they can see you and you can see them. And it, you know, it becomes like, that's when life really truly does become magical.
I agree. And I think this is a time now that's so powerful. If people could just understanding that they're surrendering to the next phase of their evolution. They're surrendering to the innateness.
Nothing to fear.
No. And letting go is difficult. And, you know, and I found it really to let go of all the self-protective mechanisms, you know. But I was in on my last, hopefully it's my last visit to the psychiatric department. But the last time I was in there, right, I was introduced to humanistic psychology, and it was Carl Rogers, and he believed that there was two aspects of the self. There was an unconditioned self and a conditioned self. And he basically felt, this is in my words, he felt that as soon as you were popped out, society jumped in to give you the conditions of worth. And if you behave like this, then you'll be a success in life. If you do this, and that's, because I was sensitive, like most of us, I took it on board and tried to practice that. And at the end of me drinking, the bloke who helped me, he said, Joe, he said, all this stuff, all your ideas, all your beliefs, all your emotions, all your attitudes have brought you to the point of killing yourself. Yeah. He said, so why don't you just let them all go and start again tomorrow morning? And that's basically what happened, you know. And if you want to call that a spiritual rebirth or whatever, that's what happened to me, you know. And in that process, and I think I've said it before, in the process of going through this letting go deprogramming mode, I was sort of hit with this peace that passeth all understanding, you know. And this thing naturally, without drink, without drugs, without everything, it started to blossom then. And basically that's what I try and do every morning. I try and listen in, and I've got sort of Tinkerbell, as you say. There's like a little light, you know, and I try and follow it. And that's like my navigation system, and it seems to be working, you know.
It does. And I mean, when you said about when we're born and then immediately the conditioning starts, you know, there's another layer to that as well, and that's the trauma. You know, we're given injections, we're given different medical procedures, things happen, we get sick, then we put in, you know, and all of that I've been shown is a trauma. And so we literally, from being born, we grow up not feeling safe at all. Not feeling safe. And, you know, and it's our parents, bless them, they don't forgive them for they know not what they do, right? That go, oh, the doctor says that, so we must do it. So they offer up the child to these institutions. And so that's another layer that we're wiping free. I mean, even my mum, bless her, she just got a new dog, and she said, oh, we're taking her for injections. And I said, what for? Why? Oh, because she has to have them. Like, why? You know, so we're even doing it to our animals, our domestic animals. So there's so many layers to this.
Oh, there are, and it's tricky for me being in the medical business as well.
I'm sorry, you know, I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, it's not at all. No, because I'm honest about it, but I say it in a way
Yeah.
But I'm what's called the pure blood, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I will rely on my innate intelligence
Yeah.
and my innate strength and my innate immune system, right? And I will
Mm.
say, no, 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 that's not for me, thanks, right? Thank you for
Yeah.
offering it to me,
Yeah.
but no thanks, you know. And they say, well, what about this? And I'm fortunate, you see, because I teach something called critical thinking skills to medical doctors, right?
Wonderful.
And
Wonderful.
it makes me laugh, you know, because I say to them, hang on a second, you're pushing this thing, whatever it be, a medication or something like that, you know, you're pushing it, but, you know, there only seems to be evidence coming through for one side. You know,
Yeah.
critical thinking means that you take evidence from all angles, you know, and
Yeah.
then you apply objective discernment to it and you weigh up the evidence and then you come to a decision. Can I say that that's what I do with everything in my life? I sort of weigh it up in my heart, if you like, you know.
Mm.
It's a bit like that thing that's coming to my mind now, you know, the heart and the feather, you know. And if it's balanced, I
Mm.
get a sort of neutral point where the
Mm.
path is shown clearly to me. And at the moment, and I could also change my mind tomorrow, at the moment, I'd say thanks, but no thanks, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've had to put up with that for the last 3 years, but I don't give a shit, you know what I mean? I'm just being honest. Now, if I'm wrong, then I'll say I was wrong there, you know.
You are a
But
Lionheart. You really are doing
well,
this.
let's say I got to that point where I couldn't give a shit. You know,
Yeah.
one of the biggest things, and this might be a function of age as well, but not just age. It's also about heart opening. One of the big things is that you care less about what you think other people think of you, and you
Yeah.
care more about what you feel and what you think yourself. You know?
Oh, 100%. And most of my life, you know, I've been called the weirdo, you know, I'm the crazy, oh, Lisa's the crazy friend. You know, one of my friends, she said, oh, I was leaving work, I said, I'm going to go and see Lisa, my crazy friend. And a colleague says, oh, I've got one of them. She went, no one's got a friend as crazy as Lisa. Right. So that's who I am to it, most people, all my life. But now it's becoming less and less. And they're coming to me going, Lisa, what's happening here? What am I feeling? What am I experiencing? You know, so yeah, it's the crazy ones shall inherit the earth, I think.
But I love it because you mentioned autism before and the autism
Yeah.
spectrum, you know, and I think that every human being to some degree is on that.
We're all on that
You know,
spectrum. Yeah.
and I think
Wonderful rainbow.
That's what I feel. And different people are sort of their genetic code expresses a certain intelligence or skill or attribute at that level, you know. And I think, you know, I work with kids as well who are on the spectrum, and sometimes, you know, they have a prodigious ability, right? But from a social point, they find it very difficult, you see.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they don't lose the ability, but there are certain things that you can do to help almost like diffuse the energy and give them more abilities in these. And the way I get shown things in my mind, and I don't know whether I'm being influenced by Arcturians, Pleiadians, or anything like that. I don't care where the information comes from, but it just seems to come in, you know.
Yeah.
And I just sort of ask me heart, you know, rather than getting into this is coming from here, there, and everywhere. I just say to me heart, right, just can you give us some like clue here of what I've got to do next, you know? And it's become quite simple. But what I was saying is I've been shown that every human being has basically 12 intelligences, right, that they're open to, but they may be strong in maybe 2 or 3 particular ones.
Yeah.
That's their particular purpose in life. But and then university systems will say, okay, you're good at that, but you need to develop these as well. I disagree with that totally. If you're innately strong in one area, that's your skill, that's your purpose, that's the way
if it's
forward.
bringing you joy.
Exactly. And if you can express yourself and do that, you know, and find yourself in a position where that's what you do for a living and a life, then that to me is what it's all about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I just want to touch upon when you said about children with ADHD. Was it ADHD? Autism, sorry.
Autism, yeah.
They are hardwired for truth. Hardwired. And there's no unwiring this, right? So we're basically a species that are going around not telling the truth, and we don't even realize we're not telling the truth. So you get these ones with autism, so-called autism, and they go, I don't get it because I know they're not telling me the truth. And so they walk away. You know, it's literally that simple for them. That's all it is. But if you tell the truth, I have children with autism that come to my workshops and classes. You tell the truth, they're super easy to deal with. Very easy.
Couldn't agree more. And it's cutting through because we learn to be pretentious, don't we? We learn to be sensitive to other people's feelings. And to me, that's just become bollocks, really, because
that's
we're
become
all
bollocks. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that we're all responsible from an emotional intelligence point of view.
Yeah.
We're all responsible. And this is part of growing up, basically, for how we handle and regulate emotions, really. And I think for any sort of society to say, oh, you can't use this word and you must refer to somebody as this because it might upset them, I think that that's a trap, you know. And I'm not going to get into any trouble, but I know that most people who watch this know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, so you've just offended me by calling, you know, let's use the N word, you know, naughty. I see, even just saying the N word, the people's heads are off. Oh, he's not going to say that, is he? You know,
yeah.
Well, how to be controlled by a word, you know.
I know.
It's just hilarious to me. And that's why I've been given the gift of taking the piss out of people with a smile, and I seem to get away with murder, but it triggers them. But, you know, I'm hopefully helping them to realize that they're the victims of what somebody else is saying and their own behavior, you know. And you can't be free if you're on the lookout all the time, judging to say you shouldn't say that, you shouldn't do blah, blah, blah. And
it's really simple. There's a line that someone gave to me. She's sort of a mentor in life, and she says simply, "Fuck off with love."
Yeah. No, that's fine by me. They call me Dr. Effing Joe. You know what I mean? I find it really difficult, but I'm in the process of trying to write this book. It's called the F off approach to health and happiness. And the F off, and people go, oh, you know, my medical colleagues, they say, you can't say that. What about your reputation? Reputation? I couldn't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
It stands for F off, stands for focus on feelings first. Not this thing here, this here. How are you feeling? Because this is trying to tell you about all the energies that you're picking up above and beyond your normal sensory input, you know. And if you want to call this extra sensory perception or heightened sensitivity. See, my mum used to say to me, as I said, you know, you're oversensitive, and I'm not oversensitive. What the problem is I couldn't handle the sensitivity, so I was emotionally handicapped. And I think what we need, and what I'm trying to help people now, is to understand that every time they're triggered, it means their defenses have gone up and they're trying to defend themselves, you know. And I think now what I'm trying to show to people is that if you get triggered, you'll feel a tension. That's only to do with your ego. And people don't want to hear that, but that's an egocentricity. It's not selfishness as such, but it's self-centeredness, and it's protection. And when you're in protection, you can't be creative because you're always on the lookout for danger. And what I'm trying to help people with is, if they can become more and more aware of their emotional state, they can feel the grip. And this is the trick, is you can breathe the grip away. The out breath is a release from that emotional tension. And if you can know that, you get more space then to look at things, and you can actually become more creative. You make better quality choices, your life improves, and you become a nicer and better person to live with.
That's it. And again, that's a practice. It's a practice and mastery. You know, each time we feel the trigger, because we can feel it straight away. And again, we've sort of been conditioned to react and point the finger. They did this. They've said this. They've made me feel like this. There is no they doing it. It's
no. And that's the thing is, and I was taught that a long time ago, you point the finger, there's three coming right back at you straight away. And those three fingers are I, self, me, all about me, right? And so that's a really good one now. And so when I tell people that, they go like that, ooh. So, you know, why am I reacting? Why do I feel triggered? Why do I feel tense? Why do I feel threatened in this situation?
Right.
You can step back and think, okay, I see it now, because my point of view wasn't being listened to. Someone, you know, and so it's all about growth. To go back to Maslow, the 7 stages. So the third one's society. And most people don't get out of that. That would be like the herd instinct. Okay.
Okay.
But what actually happens is, and I see it in my mind, it's like 2 inverted triangles. There's the one going up that way, and then there's the other one that opens up. And I see the 7. I see the heart. There's like the lower heart, And as you get to a point in the lower heart, about 3.49, you've got a choice to make. And I think that that's the crucifixion point. I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'll just carry on. So you get a choice then, right, whether to accept the crucifixion and go into the next level. So you go from lower heart to higher heart, right? And I think that you go from human into the divine aspect then. But you've got to be crucified. You've got to come to a point of total surrender.
Yeah.
And it's in that surrender that you get elevated to the next level. And I think that's what spiritual awakening is, you see. So then we get influx then from the higher dimensions then. And if we can learn then to go forward and allow that opening to open more, our consciousness expands, more information comes in, and then we can take the steps then, guided from a different place. Christ Almighty, yes. I don't know what that was good there.
Christ Almighty. I don't know where that's coming from.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, it's really, you'll like this. So Daniel's selling, he's got a caravan that he's selling, and he had a guy came over to view it on Easter Sunday called Jesus.
Oh yeah, great. I love it. I absolutely love it. You know, and I tell Jesus jokes, you know, because people, you know, because Jesus loved everybody, apparently, you know, so he loves me.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind me taking the piss out of him.
No.
I hear those jokes about Jesus goes into a bar with 3 nails. Have you heard that one?
No.
And he says, "Can you put me up for the night?" You know what I mean? So and people go, "Oh, you can't say that. You go to hell." I said, "Look, he's laughing," you know. So I have all that. And the other one
laughter is a frequency raiser.
Absolutely. Well, no, laughter is the best medicine. I honestly believe medicine.
That. Yeah.
And it's such, when you go into hospitals, especially big district general hospitals, it's so full of misery, isn't it? And the whole point is, I used to go and tell jokes because I like that. And people used to look as if to say, "You shouldn't be telling jokes. This is a hospital. It's a serious place." And I can't be doing it with all that, you know. No. The other joke is that Peter was at the bottom of the cross looking up and Jesus is looking down. And Jesus says, "Peter," he says, "What is it, Lord?" And he says, "I can see your house from here." So I'm going to get bored. I don't know whether I'll be.
God, I think you're channeling my dad. He was the king of shit jokes.
Yeah, exactly. Want to see me dancing as well? You know, that dad dancing. Oh, the kids.
Oh yeah, I got that. Yeah, I'm very good at dad dancing.
No, so there we are. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
The children want. So tell us about this. You said something. I've written a thing down here. It was talked about. What do you mean by Magdalene priestess?
I don't really know. In all honesty, do you know what I mean? I do. Well, I do and I don't. So this happened to me when I was in Scotland one day, and I just started this energy move through my body, and the voice saying, "Just start writing," and I'm writing, and you know, I'm at the end, and it's this name Magdalene came through, and then I went for a walk. It was at a castle in Scotland called Dunnottar Castle. It's on the east coast of Scotland. Beautiful place, very mystical. And I went to the castle. Up on the hill I saw a monument. Now in the 3D, the third dimension, it's a war memorial, and as I approach it I hear the words, "This is your temple." And it's one of them temples, you know, with the 8 pillars circular all around it. Long story short, the next day I'm literally shoved through the doors of this Magdalene Mystery School, and I ended up studying for a year in a Magdalene Mystery School, training to be, or remembering to be, a priestess of Magdalene, Isis, all of this. And the whole way through, you know, I felt like I'm there at the doors of the temple with my heels dug into the ground going, "You've got the wrong bird. This is not me. I'm a tomboy, right? I've only just sold my BMX. This is not me." And it's like, no, this is very real, Lisa, this is very real. Because then I look online, what's a Magdalene priestess? And there's all these ladies wearing robes and rose petals on their nipples and all it. And I'm just like, if that's what I'm meant to be, no, I'm not doing that. And all it is bringing in the Magdalene, bringing in the energy of the Magdalene. And at the very heart of the Magdalene teachings is self-love. So that's my understanding of it.
That's beautiful, because that energy, more than any other, has guided me all my life.
Yeah.
Right? All my life. here we go now. And this is what happens to me. I get the feeling and I just feel like crying with love. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Divine Mother.
And,
That's what I get. It's Divine Mother.
well, big thing, you know, and I don't try and work it out anymore. And I don't try and rationalize or logicalize it or try and explain it. But I've been guided in that energy all my life. Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm almost like, if you like, in service
Yeah.
to that sacred feminine energy.
That's
And
it.
my PhD, this is what it brought out of us, that the vagus nerve,
Yeah.
it's the feminine nerve in the body.
Oh.
And there's two nerves. There's the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic. There's like two, but one's masculine associated. That's the patriarchal energy. And that's the accelerator. That's the thing that fights and pushes and provides and all that, you know, and all that. But what's actually happened is there's been an imbalance where there's been too much of that one and not enough of this one. And there's two words for it, really. There's ergotropic, and erg means to get some work done. So that's the masculine side of it. That's like St. Joseph the worker. But then the feminine energy is called trophotropic, and it means nurturing. It means loving. And it's also associated with the viscera and the deep and the black and the womb, you know. And I didn't have a clue. And this is all the stuff that was coming into me. And I got Joseph, and I got taken back to Osiris and Isis. Oh. And I was thinking, oh, ISIS, I can't say that. That's
I know, right?
Like, you know, it's all to do with terrorism, you know. So I've gone through this. I've got no idea. And so I got Osiris in a big way in Abydos and stuff. I was taken to Abydos. I've been there in physical and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
But I kept getting, and from there, I was taken back into the Sudan, right? Yeah. I was taken back to Imhotep, who was supposed to be the real father of medicine. And from there, I've been guided, you know, through Egypt, even back to the Dogon tribe. This is what I'm getting to in a minute. The Dogon tribe.
Sirius A and B. Well, no, they Sirius C, didn't they? They told us about.
Well, there you go, you see, because that's what I've been saying. I keep getting, Joe, Sirius C is so important. And I'm saying, well, people don't believe that Sirius, it does exist, Joe. It's an energetic thing. And the C represents the Christ, you know, and I get, oh, here we go again. So I get all that. But just to go back to the rose line, right, I got clearly from the deepest, darkest reaches of Africa all the way through, back up the Nile, into Cairo, you know, from Cairo then into Saqqara, which is just outside Cairo in Memphis. That's where Imhotep built the first step pyramid. Imhotep was a master of vibrational medicine, and the pyramids were set up in tubes and corridors that resonated. And this is, I get all these pictures. And what they did was they used to put people on this like stone table, and they batter them with all sorts of sounds and lights and vibrations.
Yeah,
and
it's all from Sirius.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all from Sirius. So that's what I'm doing. That's what Magdalene's got me doing. So I do these ritual bathing kits. So each one comes with their salts, their elements, working with the waters, but consciously working with the waters. But each one comes with a playlist that I've curated with Magdalene, you know, or whoever else comes in to work with us. And it basically just restores the inner waters and your bath waters, and then your bath water then is affected and it goes back into the system, right, which affects all the other water molecules.
Absolutely fair. It's brilliant, this, because when I was talking to Elsa Dillon, we sort of nearly got onto the fourth phase of water, right, you know, which is almost like a plasma, really. And they showed me about sound comes first, then the light, working through the plasma, then through the meridians and the nadi system into the electrical system of the body. That's where the vagus nerve comes in. That's being reset. Oh, it's the Christ, you know. And then again,
I'm buzzing right now. My higher heart is just like.
But this is the way light waves at various frequencies can actually cause the way cell membranes of the stem cells work. And so what's actually happening is the wave of consciousness that's coming in is working through the plasma, working through the water, affecting the pH of the cells. So that's hydrogen, H and OH, right? That's then allowing all the shit that's really basically clogged us up for years to break away.
Fall away.
And then it's allowing this primary template to come through.
And the light body.
Our essential soul cells, right? And the kids that are coming in now, apparently, right, they're free of all that. They're coming in with their gifts, and all they need is really, they need help and an environment where they can tell us what to do next. And that's why I love it.
They're the leaders, not us.
Absolutely.
They
Absolutely.
are. Well, that's whenever people do these bathing rituals, very often they go, Lisa, I've been in floods of tears. Like, excellent.
I love it, and it's
Yeah.
taken me back then to all that water stuff, and I'm a
Yeah.
Pisces myself, and that's I don't sort of go into that, but I can feel the conflict that I've had all the time. But it seems to be sort of balancing out now a bit more, as more stuff comes in.
You
really.
are a goddess, Joseph.
Oh, absolutely. Oh God. Well, having said that, a week tomorrow, I'm doing my 20th marathon, right?
Whoa.
And I've just got me kit, right? It's all yellow. I've got a lovely yellow tutu, and I've got a lovely, no, honestly, because I always do it in a, something that makes people watch me, because I like the exhibition and stuff like that, So I'm doing it for an animal charity, because I do that for the cats, really. And that's, Sekhmet and Lyons and all. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm doing it for a cats charity, and
love that.
but I'll probably be brisk walking a lot rather than running all the way around.
Because you had a heart attack last year.
Nearly saw me off. Apparently, it was very close to going, but that's a completely another story. Just before it, this great big portal opened up, like like on Stargate.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it thinking,
so the
what's
choice.
About? And choice. Yeah, apparently choice points. And I said, hang on, I'm not ready to go yet. I don't feel.
Are you mad? You chose to stay here.
Oh, absolutely. But it was honestly, it was just like.
Yeah.
And I think, fucking hell, I'm cracking up again here,
And
so I said, no, I'll stay if that's what you're saying to me. Anyway, the week afterwards, it basically all started to happen again, and it took them 6 hours to get me to the hospital to put a stent in my heart, and touch wood, it seems to be great. I feel fantastic, and all that. So there you are, Lisa. That's what that's about. And I love the Roseline thing, and where it brought me, Tom, it brought me through from Egypt, then up in through the south of France, the normal stuff, up into the south of England, through Glastonbury and all that. Turned left, went into South Wales, jumped over into Ireland, southern Ireland, up through Ireland, and then jumped across then to Scotland. And that I got that as clear as anything,
Yeah.
And I don't fully understand it, but
me either. Yeah. I mean, I can share. Well, there's maybe we'll have another chat about this and all these points, these node points. So I've got some stories I can share with that. But yeah, I mean, that's why when you visit certain places, because I know a lot of people say, oh, I'm here to activate the earth and heal the earth. I don't think I believe that, because it's the earth. Actually, in fact, an elder told me years ago, she said, Lisa, you might not remember the earth, the land, but the land remembers you. So we'll feel calling to certain places, and all that is just to activate that soul memory of what we're to do next. It's like our GPS.
No, I agree. I see
helping us with that.
I've been called to Glastonbury a few times, and apparently I've been told you're a grid worker. What's a grid worker? Just go down there, stick your hands up in the air, right? Wiggle your arse a bit, right? Feel what you feel, but this is what I got in Glastonbury. There's the tour there. I got this clear picture of a whole, the crystal lines like that, and I got this like as though they were coming closer together. And that does me. I'm not really bothered about explaining exactly what it is, and then I get a feeling like, okay, you've done it now. You can go back home.
Well, sometimes it can be quite quick, can't it? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So I go along, but I don't know. I'm like schizophrenic, grid worker, doing all this, No. But I say to no, it's not multiple personality disorder. It's multiple intelligence that's being obstructed, and now it's being cleared, and all this stuff's coming out now.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, because I had a friend years ago, and he he claimed he was Jesus, and I was like, why shouldn't I believe you? But many people would listen to him and go, he's schizophrenic. But he was coming out with some really, really high stuff, and I just knew, don't question it, Lisa. Just receive. And then he died shortly after he left.
What I believe is that it's not a personality thing; it's a stream of consciousness. That's how I see it.
It is.
And many people tap into that high level information. And what I was doing for years is I can see that the alcohol was chemically taking me to that place there, but when I didn't have any, I dropped back to the level that I was really at, and I think I got the clue that naturally I had to step back and just use natural things to get back to that place, you know.
And ground it in.
Oh, absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
unless you take a step and ground it, nothing really fully materializes, you know.
No.
So there you go. We've nearly come to time. That's gone quick, hasn't it?
Super fast. Yeah, I could go for a few more hours with you. You're just brilliant.
No, I've loved it. I mean, it's a sharesy thing, isn't it, really? But
Yeah.
you know, as for the being on the same wavelength, there's no doubt about it. And
Yeah.
I have friends who deal with not kids now with disabilities. We're calling them diffabilities,
Yeah.
different abilities, different
Disabilities.
intelligences, you know.
Yeah.
And it's really, I've written something called the I am approach, right?
Yeah.
And the I am stands for internal asset management. And so really it's called a strength-based approach, where we work with the individual and we work with what's strong in them, not what's wrong with them.
That's right.
And in an inverse world, we tend to focus on what's not working properly, and we disregard the skill aspect and the enthusiastic part.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to help people to understand, that things are turning the right way up now, and we need to work with that, you know, like you do, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot happening. So, you know, I don't know who's listening or if anyone's listening, but there's a lot happening here. I'm bringing a lot in, but, you know, I'm just me at the moment. So we've got this temple open, we've got these workshops. We've got something called Conquers New Earth Children New Earth Community. So it's a private Facebook group with the intention, well, we set it up in 2021. We ran like this school, but it was online for children. It ran for 18 weeks. We had children from all around the world, you know, with X-ray vision. You know, that's we're talking about high level stuff. Ran for 18 weeks, but they want to meet and gather physically. They don't want to gather online, and I totally get that. I'd rather we were all in together in one place. But we've got lots of things happening. So if anyone feels the call, if they want to take anything on or be a part of it, or I'll share anything, what we've done so far. Because I know I've had a few people saying, oh, I'm in Australia and I've got the same messages. So like, okay, let's work together and make this happen.
Well, I know, because I've got connections in Manchester, in Texas, in San Diego, in the Dominican Republic, who are all receiving the same signals and stuff like that.
There's a lot of us receiving the same messages. We're that's what intelligence is, isn't it? It's in the field. It's not us. We're just tapping into it.
Exactly, and I think it comes to you. Yeah. So it's effortless effort. Really.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's it, you know, so I'm open for it. And I used to go and chase everything like an ambulance chaser. I can save you, I can do this. I don't anymore. I'm too busy. Yeah. And it's almost like things drop in my lap now. I'm not being like an egomaniac about it. It's just that I realize now the way that the energetics of it works, really. You know, and I think that if you just sit and wait, right, rather than be worried about how it's all going to change, you know, it just come to us. It's a bit like this conversation. I know that this will have you know, far further reaching consequences. You know. So that's it now. I'm going for my tea now, because the
lovely. What are you having?
But I'm having chicken, because I'm not one of them people yet, you know. Whether that'll change, I don't know, but I'm having chicken, cauliflower cheese, and cheesy coleslaw.
Nice. I still eat meat, by the way. Now, I've tried going meat free, and I'm not very grounded. I get a bit too high, so that's why I'm still eating meat at the moment.
And that's funny enough, isn't it? That's why people overeat, right? Right. Because from a sacred feminine point of view, in the vagus nerve, it's part of the digestive thing as well. So it activates the digestive system. So if you're eating something, right, it grounds you, you know, and what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to rest and recuperate and allow it to digest, because that's part of the grounding. But in this mad world that we live in, the head takes us off. I mean, you see people, don't you, eating butties on the phone, running from one place to the other. I mean, no wonder the world's falling apart.
Be present with your food. That's Well, I believe we're meeting up in August in Manchester. Is that right? With
well, I'm hopefully that's all for. Yeah, with me lovely mate, Make a Pathway Louise. And the other people, Kate Lumley, Kate the artist from Texas as well. And
she's going to be there as well.
Yeah, well, she's great. You know, if you go on and look at Kate Lumley, you'll see all her stuff. You know, and it's about she's developed, or she's had this vision of a place called Utopia, where each individual part, you know, each individual player in this land has a physical counterpart in the world. It's fascinating, honestly.
Ooh.
And so I'm Dr. Lightheart. Right.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So I've got
Wow.
no idea how it's going to turn out, but I trust the process.
Me
And I
too.
think the more that I can get my head out of the way, the more it seems to come to fruition, you know. So
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
there you are, my love. It's so lovely to meet you. And as I say, I feel like we've known each other for a long, long time. And,
Oh, we have.
And
I
hopefully
definitely know this.
hopefully in August we can meet in person. And
That'd
you
be
know,
great. I'll give you a big cuddle.
all right, that's great. And maybe even before that, we can have one of these again.
Yeah, I'd love to anytime.
All right. So have a lovely, lovely weekend. Thanks
You
very
too,
much.
Joe.
And speak to
Big
you
love.
whenever.
Mwah. Bye.
Bye, darling. Bye-bye.